Welcome to In the Loop, where roots run deep. We're your hosts, Hayley
and Sarah.
And today we talked with Katie Adkins, who is in charge of SGA. We asked her what her favorite part about her job is, just got to know her a little bit more, and also what some of her favorite campus activities are.
So welcoming Katie to In the Loop. So what is your main role on campus and how do you assist SGA?
Yeah, so I'm the coordinator of student activities. What that means is broadly that I get to work with SGA. That is my primary role. And so I work with each individual team and specifically with our president and vice president and help them look at all the aspects of campus that we can touch and implement events and new programming and all those kinds of pieces.
Yeah, that's really
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, so I came in as a student in 2019, so right before the pandemic. That made for a wild freshman year. And so I came in, I had no clue what I wanted to study. I was just like, I'm just happy to be here. High school was fun, but I was looking for more academic challenge. And so in that, I had found the honors program, loved my time with them, getting to explore the discussion-based classroom setting rather than just like assignment and then assignment and then another assignment. So loved that part. Steadily kind of fell into classes over the time, a lot of them with the communications and fine arts. COVID hit and I was in a class that required me to be painting in doing different art basics. So I was like, well, this is a weird thing to have to haul my supplies home for, but okay. And in that I was like, well, this is actually really cool. I like where this is going. What could I do with this? Wound up VisCom, visual communications, was a major that I selected late that fall, so fall of 2020. And then they discontinued it. And I was like, well, that's okay because I really did not like my writing classes. I loved everything about it. I loved the prepping for it. Hated the actual writing piece. Not that I don't like to write, but I didn't like having to write on other people's agendas or be constrained in what I was saying. And so made the choice at that point to step away from the communications piece and move fully into the arts world, which was a big step. I never did art in high school, never did any of that. And so I was like, okay. Ended up doing studio art design, studio art major. Fell in love with psychology as well. So have a background in traditional art mediums and psychology, but also I love the newer art forms with graphic design and photography. So that's where I landed with that degree-wise. Throughout my time as a student, I also worked in student development. Got to love all of those people and was approached by a different department.
See, they're floppy. Mine is barely staying still.
Thank you. Got approached by a different department on campus. They said, hey, we have an opening. We think you could be a really good fit for it. And I said, awesome. Let me know when to apply, what happens. They approached me right after graduation and said, we're in a hiring freeze. So we can't pursue this role. And I was like, okay, cool. I guess I'll keep substitute teaching to fill my time. I had moved in with one of my friends down here, so I was in the area locally, and I was like, I guess we'll just pray and see what happens. Fast forward 3 weeks, I got a call from Chelsea, who's our director of student engagement, and she had been my supervisor as a student worker, and she said, hey, funny story. We've had some shifts in our department. She said, Ben, the guy who used to do her job, she said, he is leaving. He's moving on to something different, and I have been offered his role, and I'm taking it. She said, that leaves my job open, and we would love for you to apply. And I said, sign me up. I knew that she did stuff with student government. I knew that she did stuff with Welcome Weekend, which is a hairy beast, but it's so fun at the same time. And so I said, okay, not what I thought it was going to be, but I will take that step because I had just this feeling that I was supposed to be here or around here. I didn't know why. I didn't know what that purpose was. Interviewed actually on my parents' anniversary. I sat at their kitchen table while they were getting ready for their date night. It was really cute. Interviewed with them. And then a couple weeks later was offered the job and I accepted on the spot. I was so excited.
That's really cool.
So yeah, that's a little bit of a windy narrative of how I got
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
And with that, you've mentioned Welcome Week. So what have been some of your
Yes.
favorite events that you've hosted as SGA?
Yeah. So Welcome Week is actually separate. That's just like a extra part of my job, but I love that.
Yeah.
During Welcome Weekend is Arbor Nights, which is the first SGA event of the year. That one's always really fun. It's kind of like a little carnival-esque. In years past, we've had dunk tanks. They have like mini putt-putt, all those kind of fun things. I think my current students would like razz on me for not saying that we do Planko and one of your prizes is this goldfish.
Yes.
I don't know how that tradition started, and I don't know why we continue it, but they would get really mad if we didn't.
Okay.
So food
It
for
works.
thought.
Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah, I also love Cougar Madness, which is one of our homecoming kickoff events. There's something about, I don't do well at late nights. Okay, disclaimer, I'm not a night person. But that event, the energy at that event is so different from anywhere else, and it's so fun.
It is, yeah.
Getting to watch professors or faculty and staff members come out and just be goofy on the court when they're playing the game with the
Yeah.
students. It's just a really fun dynamic that you don't get to see a lot of times.
For
So I
sure.
think that one would probably be one of my absolute favorites.
I love that. Cougar Madness was like the first event I attended on campus because I spent the night as like a prospective student in the fall. And yeah, it was so much fun. Like I went with the girls like that I was hanging out with for the day, and then like came back and hung out with the two girls I was like spending the night with.
Yeah.
And it was so fun. I was like, I love it here. So
That's so
I would
fun.
agree with
Yeah.
you. Cougar Madness is it's a blast.
Yeah, I know
But-
the events are something that like all the prospective students that I've talked to,
Yeah.
if they attend an event, they're like, oh my gosh, I have to go here.
I
So-
think it's what really like hooks people and like reels them in, which is
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that makes me so happy that you had such a good experience.
So with that, like, what is your favorite part of your job?
The
If you
events.
have a favorite, yeah.
The events, but also my time with the students.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm a part of the student engagement team broadly, which means I get to interact with all of our student leaders. I get to interact with SGA, like on a more personal level.
Yeah. Sure.
But then I get to interact with all students across the board at our events. And more specifically, I get to do missions trips with students. That's a part that I fell into and absolutely love.
Yeah.
But any kind of like student interaction is really fun for me. So I would say that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little bit cliche,
No,
but
that's
it's
awesome.
true.
That's really good.
And
yeah.
then with that, how have you implemented your faith with these students, like getting in the community, just showing that you love Jesus?
Yeah. So often in my interactions with students at events, it's hard to just be like, hi, I love Jesus.
Yes.
And here's why.
Yes.
I think that they can get that from a baseline because I work at Spring Arbor and like there's this understanding that we love Jesus on campus.
Yeah.
I get to one-on-one show students my love for Jesus as I get to know them, as we get to learn each other's stories. I don't just want to be like, hi, I'm so-and-so. Tell me about you. Like it's a relationship goes both ways. And
Yeah.
I think that trust has to say, like, here's my story too.
Yeah.
So being able to share my stories, pieces of my life,
Yeah.
the good stuff, and like the things that are hard about it too,
Yeah.
because life isn't easy.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just nice hearing, like Rob said the other day at chapel, like sometimes hearing me too is a really big deal. And so I show kind of on that personal level, but
Yeah.
then especially like I said with the missions trips, that's a really big space where we get to like very intentionally talk about Jesus, talk about the space that we're entering into, the ways that we're blessed, and maybe we get to serve people when we see our circumstances mirrored in their own. And often that comes with like hard questions. And so grappling and wrestling and telling them, I'm young too.
Yeah.
I'm not substantially older than you guys. And it's okay not to have it all figured out. Like there are things that people have asked me and I'm like, I actually don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But I know people who can help guide us in the right direction. Like,
Absolutely.
let's learn this together because that's so important.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
that
that's
really
awesome,
does.
yeah.
I think that's great. Is there like challenging parts of your job, like whether that be with event planning or events not going as well as you thought, or like connecting with students? Is parts of that like more challenging for you at times?
It can be.
Yeah.
I am an introvert outside of my job.
Yeah.
And so being bold and being like, hi, I'm so-and-so. Like, you look like you could use a friend to talk to.
Yeah.
Like, hey, tell me your story. Like, how did you end up here? Like, I see you're by yourself. That's a really hard part for me. But modeling that for my students and with my students is really big. And so I'm like, well, if I'm asking you to do it, I should probably be able to do it too, right? Like nobody's going to do something if their leader isn't willing to do it with them. Like getting dirty in the mess, the planning, all of those pieces. Event-wise.
She's like,
For me, event planning is not a hard thing.
Okay.
However, I know that's not the case for everyone. And so helping people understand that what feels like a really big issue isn't always a really big issue. And so dissecting the problem, saying, okay, here's where we need to end up. What do we do to get to that solution?
Yeah.
What have we thought about already? Like, what can we do at the end?
Yeah.
So helping them get to the solution can be tricky sometimes because our brains don't work the same. And so understanding like, okay, like this feels really simple to me, but also, hey, both of you have very different working brains than what I do. And so making it make sense to each of you or to the student that I'm working with on that particular thing, that can be tricky sometimes because you're both like, I want to make this work, and this should make sense somehow. And so learning how to communicate to then find solutions. That's often more complicated than a like, oh no, something went wrong. Those ones, I've worked enough events on campus to have kind of a toolbox at my disposal of like, okay, if this happens, then we do this. If this happens, then we do this. And then there's occasions where I'm still like, well, I don't know, actually, like, let me go call somebody and see what someone else's perspective is on this before we fully, like, make a solution happen. So,
for sure.
No, I know your design probably, your like brain works in like design and stuff like that, so it's so good for advertising probably.
Yeah.
I do love that part.
You do have the creativity, which is really good. So.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
do you have any advice that you have for any of the students looking to get involved with the community on campus?
Just go. Do it scared. That's a really big one. Just going and just doing it scared are probably my two pieces. For me, do it scared is a really big part of my life already because there's never going to be a moment when I think I feel 100% confident in something, even if I've done it a million times. I could go with my best friends to an event and I would still be super nervous because there's a lot of people I don't know. Sometimes you just have to do it scared, and sometimes those moments are the moments that you remember the most because you're like, wow, I did a new thing. And it ended up being so much fun.
Absolutely.
Just go to the events. Just say hi to the new people. Like, just do the thing that you're like, that could be fun, but I don't want to do it by myself. Or, oh, we're kind of nervous to do it. Like, we're just the freshmen. We're just the sophomores. Oh, I'm just a senior and I have too many things to do. Like, just do it. Just go. Do it scared. Do it stressed. Do it. Doing all of the things. Just go for it. Like, you're only in college once. Or hopefully once, I would imagine.
Oh my goodness.
So, like, don't let yourself hold you back because you're your greatest, like, roadblock at the end of the day. So.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
I'd say going to the events when I was stressed is probably one of the best things for me because, you know, it helps distract me, get my mind off of what I'm stressed or worried about. So, and it's always fun in the end. And like afterwards, I'm like, oh, that was so good. I'm glad I went. I'm glad I hung out with my friends or met new people.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just that like reset that you need to like, okay, this project is stressing me out. I'm going to go to my event and then I'm going to come back and I'll be able to like, there's a clear head after you're like, oh, I feel a little bit more calm now.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes.
Yeah, and speaking of events, the last event that we have is the Slip and Slide Kickball.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
It is a newer event.
Okay.
Not newer, new. We have historically done a slip and slide the last few years, and our SJ events team this year brought to me and they were like, what if we did kickball? And I said, that sounds a little bit dangerous, but I'm all in. So it will be on the inner field of the track right after late night breakfast next Tuesday. So it'll be dark and cold, but that's half the fun. So yeah, it's a big old tarp. There's going to be water with like soap and bubbles, and you're just going to play kickball. Our intramural team is going to help, ref it. I think that's
facilitate it.
Thank you.
Yes.
I was like, that's the right here. And yeah, so I think there will be limited teams. So if you're interested in coming, like, come at the beginning. Don't wait till like halfway through. It's not going to be a very long event either. It's going to be like a game or two depending on how quick they go. So
That's interesting. I played like a version of this in middle school with my church, like on a retreat that we would go on, and it was always like tarps, and they'd like lay them out, like water, soap, and then you had to jump into like little baby pools, like with water at like each base after you like kicked the ball, and
that's awesome.
People were always like crashing into each other. It was so chaotic.
Yeah, that's what we did that when I went to a missions trip to Kentucky, and we were playing with the little kids.
Yeah,
and that's what we did too. It was insane.
I love that.
Yeah, but well, I don't know if there's anything else. Would you have like any advice for us, like going into SGA?
Just keep an open mind.
Yeah,
there are some things that we do because they're traditions, but there are some traditions that we don't need to do anymore. Not because they're bad, but because maybe that's not the tradition that our current students need. So be willing to like be creative in your ideas, and just hear what students want, most importantly. So
I love that. That's great.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey everyone, thanks so much for listening. That wraps up In the Loop for this semester.
We are so excited for next semester when we get to keep you guys informed and in the loop, and where we introduce our new SGA team. Thanks for tuning in.